All right, let's look at this video from the Westminster Parliament in the UK. Okay, very recently there has been this. I wouldn't say because it's not surprising because the people in the belief system that we are going to discuss in this video is largely accused all across the world to stick to such tactics to convert people to their fold. Okay, so this is not surprising. Okay, it's rather appalling, it's rather shocking that the people sitting inside this very parliament tried to cover up uh, the scandal of grooming gangs. Okay, so first of all, we will listen to the statement that was made in the Westminster Parliament by the parliamentarians. So, if you still believe or if you are still under the impression that whatever is being said in this video cannot be verified, keep in mind this was said inside the Parliament. Okay, so let's hear first what the parliamentarians have to say.
But accept that if we extrapolate nationally the Jay report on Rotherham and other reports on Telford and Oxford, there appear to have been upwards of 250,000 young white girls raped in this century, very largely by Muslim men. And given these girls are usually raped several times a day for years, so, my lords, what is the government's answer to the Chief Constable of Northumbria, who has just said that there is every likelihood that these grooming gangs are operating in every one of our major cities? So, my lords, what is the government doing to prosecute those in authority who turned a blind eye to all this because they were afraid of being Islamophobic and so on? And what is it doing to compensate and help these victims mentally?
So in this video, this fellow, I'm not aware of his name, but he is a parliamentarian since he is speaking in the Westminster. So he's saying that more than 250,000. So for those of you who find it difficult to comprehend these figures, in our language it's like 2.5 lakhs. Okay, in the last 250,000 young bright British white girls have been raped in the last 25 years by largely Muslim men. Okay, now very recently there was this uncovering of a scandal, the grooming gangs scandal that was going on in Britain since last 2 decades. Okay, there are very specific organizations who have been set up who work to rehabilitate the victims of these grooming gangs. Okay, now essentially what are grooming gangs? These are a group of people who largely belong to the Muslim faith. What do? They try and trap a young white girl, okay, and then they exploit her by whichever means they seem necessary to further their cause. Okay, this is not something new, not something that is limited to Britain. Okay, put Bharat out of the picture as of now. I'm not completely denying that such things are not going on in Bharat. They are, and at a very larger scale compared to Britain. But we are putting that aside for the sake of argument right now. If you focus on all the other European countries as well, okay, they are also facing a similar issue. So this is him saying, and these are the questions that he put forward in the British Parliament about what exactly is the government doing. Okay. All right. This is another video from the place that is known by the name of Rotherham. Rotherham is one of the places where the police and the government, they were complicit in the cover-up of this grooming gangs scandal. Okay, so to make you understand the gravity of the situation, first of all, you got to understand what exactly is a cover-up. Okay, these grooming gangs, they were exploiting girls of a very tender age, as young as 12, 13. Okay, now what would happen whenever these girls or their parents, whenever they would complain to the police? Okay, guess who was arrested? The parents of the girl who was exploited, and sometimes even the girl herself was arrested for being drunk and causing ruckus in the society. So the government and the police and the authorities and the administration, all of them were operating in a nexus to cover up this grooming gangs scandal. Okay, when do you cover up something? When you know that such things are going on in the society and they are illegal, to say the very least, unethical, immoral, and all that we can sit and discuss. Okay, but these things were going on and the government was simply just watching it. The police and the authorities were simply just bystanders when there was clear trampling upon the rights. Okay, and this comes from a country who prides itself as being a beacon of liberty. So let's see what further else do we have. Alright, next up, this is a scene from London. Not exactly London, but England, largely England. Okay, as you can see over here, this is simply just a crowd. Now, largely immigration and illegal immigration has been the top political issue in the European continent, specifically UK, France, Germany, Sweden. Okay, all these countries that are supposedly, they were historically, these are Christian countries. Okay, and these are very nice places to live in based on the current perception of the world. Okay, so largely these Muslim immigrants, they go to these countries and they are accused of trying to overthrow their native culture. All right, and so yes, there is large influx of illegal migrants into all European countries, and as you can see in all the major elections in these European countries, okay, illegal migration has been the top issue. Why? Because how does this happen? Okay, now because the left, okay, the left political parties, they will usually depend on these illegal migrants to ramp up their vote counts. Okay, because nobody wants to vote the left. Let's be very clear. Okay, so initially when you are young and when you are a rebellious kind of a person, you can be a leftist, but as you grow up and the realities of the world dawn upon you, you realize that being a leftist is just like being an idiot, not accepting realities. So leftists, they usually and largely depend on the votes of the migrants to secure their vote banks, and there is this increasing influx of migrants in these European countries. Alright, this is Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer is the Prime Minister of Britain. He comes from the Labour Party. Okay, so to give you, so for the people of Bharat to understand the politics of UK, you can consider that the Labour Party that is currently in power in the UK is equivalent to the Congress party that we have in our own country. Okay, so this is the Prime Minister, the leader of that party, who is the Prime Minister right now of UK. He is rather ranting about this superficial terms known as Islamophobia. Okay, now let's assume that there is something real as Islamophobia, meaning an irrational fear of Islam. So you can ask any rookie or a novice student of history, and they will tell you, okay, how has Islam desecrated, destroyed native cultures of as far as 56 countries. Okay, so having being apprehensive, being reluctant, and being scared of such a belief system or such a political system is natural. Okay, it's okay if you are reluctant, if you are apprehensive, if you are suspecting of such a political system who is targeted towards overthrowing and overhauling your native and your national culture. Okay, so it's natural to be apprehensive about such things. So own up to it. Yes, okay, if you are Islamophobic, yes, we are Islamophobic because we know what you guys did and we know what you guys are doing. So it's not irrational fear, it's a rational fear because we have studied history, we know what has happened. Okay, so this is the Prime Minister Keir Starmer. He is ranting on about how Islamophobia is on the rise in the UK, and I'm sure largely many members of that specific communities have nothing to do with whatever is going on, or we can sit and discuss about whether whether all the members of that community are explicitly or implicitly involved. That is a discussion for a separate video. But right now what I'm focusing on is the Prime Minister of that country is refusing to acknowledge that there is a problem, and that is a problem, to refusing to acknowledge a problem.